The invasion begins. The sky was on fire. Massive alien warships hovered over Earth's cities, casting dark shadows on the streets below. Their sleek metallic bodies reflected the burning remains of human buildings. Explosions rang out, shaking the ground like an earthquake. Sirens wailed in the distance, warning people to seek shelter, but there was nowhere left to hide. The HFY Empire had arrived. They were a ruthless species, feared across the galaxy. Their army had crushed entire civilizations, reducing mighty planets to nothing but ashes. And now, they had set their sights on Earth. Humanity had always believed they were alone in the universe. That belief shattered when the HFY fleet descended from the sky without warning. They came with thousands of warships, each one armed with weapons capable of destroying entire cities in a single blast. Their soldiers, tall and covered in dark armor, moved like shadows, their glowing red eyes scanning the streets for any sign of resistance. In the first 2 hours, Earth's military forces fought back with everything they had. Fighter jets soared into the air, missiles locked onto the enemy ships, and anti-air guns filled the sky with fire. The battles raged in every corner of the world, from New York to London, from Beijing to Moscow. But it wasn't enough. The HFY were too advanced. Their ships had energy shields that deflected missiles. Their weapons tore through human defenses like paper. One by one, Earth's defenses fell. The news channels broadcasted live footage of the invasion. People watched in horror as their cities crumbled under the alien attack. Entire blocks were wiped out in seconds. The screams of civilians echoed through the streets as HFY soldiers marched forward, capturing or eliminating anyone in their path. The President of the United States appeared on every screen. His face was pale, his voice shaking. To all remaining forces, do not surrender. Fight with everything you have. Humanity will not fall today. But deep inside, he wasn't sure if they could win. Across the world, military commanders gathered in underground bunkers, desperately trying to form a strategy. They sent orders to every remaining soldier: hold the line. Protect the people. Do not give up. Yet, the HFY did not slow down. They moved forward, city by city, leaving destruction in their wake. Their leader, High Commander Verex, stood on the command deck of his mothership, watching the invasion unfold through a holographic screen. He smirked. Pathetic, he muttered. This planet falls faster than I expected. A HFY officer turned to him. Shall we send the final wave, Commander? Verex nodded. Yes. End this before they cause us any trouble. With a single command, hundreds of dreadnoughts descended toward Earth, preparing for the final strike. These ships carried weapons powerful enough to turn the planet into a wasteland. One last attack, and humanity would be no more. But then, something changed. The humans stopped fighting back. The resistance, the soldiers, the civilians, they vanished. HFY scouts flew through the streets, scanning for life signs. There was nothing. The once busy cities were silent. The roads were empty. It was as if the entire human race had disappeared. The alien invaders paused, confused. Where did they go? One HFY soldier asked. Another shook his head. No idea. Our scanners show movement, but we can't see them. Commander Verex frowned. He did not like this. Keep searching. They are weak. They are afraid. They are hiding like prey, he said. The HFY spread out, marching deeper into Earth's cities, searching for their missing enemy. But they had no idea. Humanity was not hiding. Humanity was waiting. The silence before the storm. A strange silence fell over the battlefield. The HFY invaders scanned the streets, their red eyes glowing in the darkness. The cities, once filled with the sounds of war, were now eerily quiet. No gunfire, no screams, no human resistance. It was as if Earth itself had gone still. Commander Verex narrowed his eyes. Something was wrong. Report, he ordered. His officers hesitated before responding. "Commander, we detect movement underground, but our scanners cannot pinpoint the exact locations." Varix clenched his fists. The humans were still alive, but where were they? They should have surrendered. They should have begged for mercy. Instead, they had vanished. The Typhor continued their search, their ships hovering over empty streets. Soldiers kicked down doors, stormed buildings, and scanned every possible hiding spot. Nothing. No bodies. No signs of struggle. Only silence. Varix felt something he had never felt before. Unease. "They are weak," one officer muttered. "They are running." "No," Varix growled. "They are planning something." In orbit, the Typhor fleet remained in position, watching the planet below. Their warships hovered like vultures, ready to strike if necessary. But something else was happening, something they could not see. Deep underground, in hidden military bunkers, humanity was preparing. Scientists worked at high speed, engineers armed experimental weapons, and elite soldiers suited up in advanced armor. Earth had not fallen. Earth was adapting. The trap is set. Across the planet, in abandoned cities and ruined streets, something flickered in the shadows. Drones, thousands of them, silent, unseen. They moved like ghosts, feeding data to the hidden command centers. Human generals watched from their underground war rooms, studying the invaders. Every movement, every patrol, every weak point, it was all being recorded. The Typhor thought they had won. They were wrong. In one of the bunkers, a hardened general smirked as he watched the live feed from a drone. They have no idea what's coming. The Typhor continued searching, unaware that the hunters had become the hunted. And soon, the silence would break. Humanity was about to strike back. And this time, they would not hold back. The first strike. The Typhor moved deeper into Earth's cities, searching for the missing humans. Their scanners picked up heat signatures, but there were no bodies. Their motion sensors flickered, but nothing moved. Their communications were filled with static. Something was interfering with their systems. And then, it happened. A Typhor warship hovering over a ruined city exploded without warning. The blast lit up the night sky, turning the dark streets into a battlefield once more. Flames erupted from the wreckage as chunks of alien metal crashed onto the ground. Panic spread through the Typhor ranks. "What was that?" One officer shouted. "Unknown attack. Shields were active. We didn't see anything coming." Another responded. Varix slammed his fist against the control panel. "Find out who did that. Now." But before his forces could react, another explosion rocked the city. A second warship was hit, its engines bursting into flames. It spun out of control before smashing into the remains of a skyscraper. The Typhor were under attack, and they couldn't see the enemy. The human counterattack begins. In the shadows, human soldiers watched through night vision helmets. They had waited for this moment. Target confirmed. Fire at will. From hidden positions, railguns fired, silent, deadly, and powerful. The bullets were no ordinary ammunition. Each round was designed to punch through Typhor armor, moving at hypersonic speeds. One shot, one kill. Typhor troops fell before they could even react. The humans were invisible, fast, and precise. Drones swarmed the sky, disrupting Typhor scanners. Eye-controlled turrets, buried under rubble, popped up and opened fire. The invaders were caught in a kill box. Typhor panic. The Typhor commanders screamed orders, but it was too late. Their ships were being targeted by electromagnetic pulse, EMP, strikes, disabling their shields and weapons. Their ground forces were getting wiped out by unseen enemies. This was not the weak, desperate resistance they had expected. This was warfare beyond anything they had faced. The Typhor had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. One Typhor captain, watching his forces crumble, whispered in fear. "They weren't running. They were waiting for us." Varix's face twisted in rage. "Fall back. Regroup. Do not let them. Boom. A massive human artillery strike obliterated the main Sci-Fi command outpost. Verex's command screen flickered. His officers screamed as their signals cut out, one by one. Humanity had turned the tide. And the Sci-Fi were no longer the hunters. They were the prey. The human war machine awakens. The Sci-Fi forces were in full retreat. Alien warships that once dominated Earth's skies were now burning wrecks, falling like meteors. Ground troops, once arrogant and unstoppable, were now running for their lives. But humanity was not finished. This was only the beginning. The unseen arsenal, hidden deep beneath the earth. Humanity had prepared for this war long before the invasion. The world's most brilliant minds had come together, developing weapons the aliens never saw coming. Railgun satellites, silent, undetectable, and capable of firing from orbit at near-light speed. EMP bombs, designed to shut down alien technology with a single pulse. Eye-controlled combat drones, faster, smarter, deadlier than any Sci-Fi soldier. For years, the world's nations had feared war with each other, but the Sci-Fi invasion had united humanity. And now, the full force of Earth's hidden arsenal was unleashed. Sci-Fi collapse. Sci-Fi ships tried to flee back into orbit, but they never made it. Human railguns, buried deep within mountains, fired with pinpoint accuracy. One by one, Sci-Fi warships exploded mid-air, torn apart by projectiles moving faster than sound. "We are losing ships at an alarming rate," an alien officer shouted. "Impossible. They don't have this kind of technology." Verex roared. But they did. And now, the Sci-Fi were learning just how powerful humanity truly was. The final stand in the streets. In the ruined streets of Earth's cities, Sci-Fi soldiers made their last stand. Blasters fired wildly in every direction, trying to hit an enemy they could not see. Human snipers moved like shadows, taking down targets one by one. Drones zipped through the air, dropping microscopic bombs that disabled Sci-Fi armor. Tanks, massive, human-made metal beasts, rolled through the rubble, their cannons turning entire squads of aliens into dust. The Sci-Fi had come to Earth thinking they were superior. They were wrong. Verex's realization. From the bridge of his flagship, Commander Verex watched in horror. This was not the weak, primitive species he had expected. This was a species built for war. A species that adapts, evolves, and never surrenders. "Commander, we must retreat," an officer begged. Verex's claws clenched into a fist. His empire had conquered dozens of worlds. They had never lost. And yet, here he was, watching his entire invasion force crumble before his eyes. His voice trembled with rage. How? How is this possible? A holographic feed showed Sci-Fi soldiers being hunted down in the streets. Not a single one was spared. A message flashed across his ship's screen. A human transmission. It was short, simple, cold. "You should have never come here." And then his ship's alarms blared. A human missile locked onto his flagship. The screen went red. And then, boom. Verex's ship erupted into flames, torn apart by the very species he had underestimated. The war was over. Earth had won. And now, the galaxy would never forget the day humanity unleashed its full might. The terror spreads. The Sci-Fi fleet was gone. Their warships had been blown out of the sky, their ground forces hunted down without mercy. The mighty invasion force that had once darkened Earth's skies was no more. But the true battle had only just begun. The last survivors. Scattered groups of Sci-Fi soldiers still remained, hiding in the rubble of the cities they once sought to conquer. They were the last survivors of a doomed invasion. Their once glorious armor was battered and broken. Their weapons, once feared, were useless against the human counterattack. And worst of all, they were afraid. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were hunting. "Commander Verex is dead," one Sci-Fi soldier whispered, his voice trembling. "Then we are lost," another muttered. eyes darting around in terror. For the first time in Sci-Fi history, they were the prey. The ghosts in the darkness. The survivors tried to find a way out. They moved carefully, scanning the ruins for any sign of human resistance. They saw nothing. No soldiers, no drones, no tanks, but they could feel it. They were being watched. Then the first shot rang out. A sniper's bullet silently tore through a Sci-Fi's skull, his body collapsing without a sound. The others froze. Where did that come from? One hissed. I don't know, another stammered. Then a whirring noise filled the air. Drones. Tiny, fast, invisible to the eye. The Sci-Fi barely had time to scream before the drone struck. One by one, the last invaders fell. Some tried to run. They didn't make it. Some tried to fight. They never had a chance. Within minutes, the last Sci-Fi on Earth was dead. The message to the galaxy. Above Earth, in the depths of space, a single Sci-Fi scout ship received a desperate transmission from the ground. A final message, broadcast from one of the dying soldiers. It was filled with static, panicked breathing, and broken words. But the message was clear. Do not come to Earth. They are not what we thought. They are. The signal cut out. And in that silence, the truth settled in. Humanity had won, and every alien empire in the galaxy would know what happened here. Earth had been attacked, and Earth had fought back. And now, the Sci-Fi were no longer feared. The terror spreads. The lone Sci-Fi scout ship jumped into hyperspace, racing back to its homeworld. The High Council of the Sci-Fi Empire gathered, expecting news of victory. Instead, they received horror. The footage from the battlefield showed their strongest soldiers being eliminated in seconds. Their warships, once invincible, falling from the sky like toys. And then the final message. The chilling last words of their commander before his ship was destroyed. You should have never come here. A heavy silence filled the Sci-Fi war chambers. For the first time in history, the great Sci-Fi empire felt fear. Because now, the galaxy knew the truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was something far worse, and if anyone dared to challenge them again, they would not live to regret it. The last transmission. The Sci-Fi had never known fear. For centuries, they had ruled with an iron fist, crushing any species that dared resist them. Their fleets had reduced entire civilizations to ashes. Their soldiers had marched through the ruins of fallen empires. But now, everything had changed. Because of Earth. Because of humanity. A desperate plea. On the Sci-Fi homeworld, the High Council sat in their grand chamber, watching the final transmission from their invasion force. The room was silent as they listened to the chilling last words of their dying soldiers. Do not come to Earth. They are not what we thought. They are. The message cut out. Static filled the room. And then a new transmission came through. But this one was not from the Sci-Fi. It was from Earth. Humanity speaks. A single human appeared on the massive holographic screen before the council. A general. His uniform was clean, his posture strong, his eyes cold. He spoke calmly. To the Sci-Fi High Council, your forces attacked our planet unprovoked. You believed we were weak. You believed we would surrender. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a deadly whisper. You were wrong. Behind him, the ruins of Sci-Fi warships burned in the background. Wreckage littered Earth's surface, a graveyard of alien arrogance. The general continued. Your fleet is gone. Your soldiers are dead. Your empire is no longer feared. A long pause. We could have stopped at victory. But now, we have your attention. The warning. The High Council members shifted nervously in their seats. Never before had an enemy dared to speak to them like this. Never before had an enemy defeated them so completely. And now, humanity had one last message. The general's face hardened. We are not conquerors. We are not monsters. But if you ever set foot on our world again." The screen flickered. Suddenly, a new image appeared. It was footage from the battle. Sci-Fi warships torn apart in midair. Sci-Fi soldiers wiped out before they could even scream. Their strongest weapons rendered useless. The general's voice rang through the chamber, final and absolute. "We will end you. The galaxy watches." The transmission ended. The chamber remained silent. The High Council members, once so proud, so confident, now sat frozen in their seats. The footage spread across the stars. Other alien empires, who once feared the Typhor, watched in stunned silence. They had all believed Earth was just another world to be conquered. Now, they knew the truth. Humanity was something else entirely. A force that could not be broken. A species that refused to kneel. A new fear. On the Typhor homeworld, the High Council made a decision that day. They would never speak of Earth again. They would never send another fleet. They would warn their children, their children's children, never go to Earth. Never provoke the humans. Because if humanity ever decided to take revenge, not even the stars would be safe. Humanity's message to the galaxy. The warning had been sent. The Typhor Empire, once feared across the stars, had fallen silent. No more warships, no more threats, no more arrogance. But humanity's message did not stop there, because the galaxy was watching. The echo of war. Across distant worlds, rulers, generals, and warlords gathered in secret meetings. They had seen the footage, the burning wreckage of Sci-Fi warships, the silent, deadly precision of Earth's counterattack, the final words of the humans. Fear spread like wildfire. For centuries, the balance of power in the galaxy had been clear. The Typhor stood at the top, unchallenged. Every empire, every colony, every civilization had feared them. But now the name Sci-Fi meant nothing. It was Earth that haunted their thoughts. And the message was clear, a declaration to the stars. A second transmission was sent. But this time, it was not just to the Typhor. It was broadcast across the entire galaxy. Every empire, every faction, every ruler received the same words. A simple, undeniable declaration from Earth. To those who come in peace, we welcome you. To those who seek war, remember that Typhor. Come as friends, or do not come at all. It was not a threat. It was a promise. The Galactic response. Some empires considered testing humanity. Perhaps the Typhor had simply been weak. Perhaps Earth was not as powerful as they claimed. But then, they studied the battle reports. They watched as a species once thought primitive had torn apart an armada with precision, intelligence, and technology they should not have had. And one by one, the empires made their decision. They sent emissaries, not soldiers. They offered trade, not war. They spoke words of diplomacy, not conquest. Because if there was one truth they had all learned, humanity was not to be underestimated. The new era. On Earth, the people rebuilt. The fires of war faded, but the lesson remained. They were not alone in the universe. But now, the universe knew them. Not as prey, not as victims, but as a species that would fight, survive, and win. And as Earth looked up at the stars, they knew. The galaxy had changed forever, and humanity had just begun.